నీట్ 2020 ఫలితాలలో ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ విద్యార్థుల ప్రభంజనం. ఆల్ ఇండియా కేటగిరీలో థర్డ్ ర్యాంక్ సాధించిన శ్రీశాంత్ కు మా అభినందనలు. ఇంతటి అఖండ విజయానికి ప్రోత్సహించిన అధ్యాపకులకు మా కృతజ్ఞతలు.
ఇంటర్మీడియట్ విద్యారంగంలో అగ్రగామి మన ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్. ఐఐటి, జేఈఈ అయినా, నీట్ అయినా తిరుగులేని విద్యా సంస్థ ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్.
Hello students, now whatever it may be the staggered cut or maybe the even cut, whatever we find, staggered or even cut, generally if you look at either it may be the even cut, so you'll get equal fragments 5 dash to 3 dash and 3 dash to 5 dash, or sometimes we find staggered cut. Okay, that means you will get unequal bases like this. So the cutting is happened from here, unequal bases will come, that is called staggered cut. 5 dash to 3 dash and 3 dash to 5 dash. Now generally in recombinant DNA technology, for example you take, this is nothing but what you call foreign DNA or we call alien DNA. Now generally we isolate the plasmid. Plasmid also is nothing but double stranded DNA. This is nothing but vector or nothing but we call a plasmid. Vector or nothing but what? Plasmid. Now what happens here? Now ECO R1 cuts the DNA fragments at the same position. The same ECO R1 as it cuts the foreign DNA is the same ECO R1 enzyme which also cuts the vector DNA at the same positions. So earlier the plasmid is like this, as it is being cutted and removed. Now it is opened like this. Now the foreign DNA will come and attach here. It will come and attach here like this. Let us take it like this. Now with the help of an enzyme called DNA ligase. With the help of DNA ligase. Now this particular plasmid, now it acts as a vector because now this plasmid, now it is carrying the foreign DNA. Now it's called as vector or carrier. Now this enters into E. coli cells. Now this is E. coli cell. Let us take E. coli cell as an host organism. Now here it enters, this is what is nucleoid, but this is nothing but the plasmid, what you find here with DNA. Now this is what is called now recombinant DNA, because now it tried to enter into the host cell, ready to undergo replication along with the host DNA. So now this is called as, we call this as recombinant DNA. We call this as recombinant DNA. Now it becomes part of the chromosome, it undergoes replication. So here it already got transformed from where to where? Plasmid get transformed into host organism. Now it undergo replication along with the host DNA. As a result of this, it produces daughter cells. Now in each daughter cell you can see the replicated DNA. This is nothing but a replicated DNA, that's nothing but recombinant DNA. It will get transferred into the daughter cells. So this is E. coli cell, this is another daughter cell. Now even in this daughter cell you find a recombinant DNA. So these are nothing but, these are called daughter cells. Now these daughter cells further also undergoes the process called replication and they get transferred into next generation. So as these are got recombinant DNA, they try to express a new genetic characteristics along with the host genetic characteristics. This is how the people will go for what is called as a recombinant DNA technology. But the most and very important one is here, if you want to go with the recombinant DNA technology, the first and foremost important thing is we have to cut the foreign DNA alien DNA at a specific site. This specific site, what we find here, this itself is called as palindromic nucleotide. This itself is called palindromic nucleotide sequence. What do we call this? Palindromic nucleotide sequence. That means the first and the foremost important step is we need to cut from the source organism on the total DNA. We need to cut on specific site, or itself is called what you call organization site, or itself is called palindromic nucleotide sequence. Right? So I told you, no, foreign DNA, alien DNA got incorporated, adding or combining of foreign DNA with the plasmid done by DNA ligase. Now it's called vector. It will get transformed into host organism. After getting transformed into host organism, now this is called recombinant DNA. Here the host is E. coli. It will undergo replication or duplication or binary fission, multiplication, produces the daughter cells. Each daughter cell has recombinant DNA that expresses new genetic characters. Now let's come back to this specific site on the foreign DNA, which we are trying to get it from the source organism. Let us talk about specific site or recognition site or palindromic nucleotide sequence. Let's continue. Now let's talk about palindromic nucleotide sequence. Palindromic nucleotide sequence. Now when we talk about palindromic nucleotide sequence, here we mainly talk about the recognition site. Suppose if you take here, this is the DNA, 5' to 3', 3' to 5'. When restriction enzyme endonuclease is added, it cuts at a specific location, and this specific site or this recognition site, what we find here, or itself is called as palindromic nucleotide sequence. Now this recognition site, it contains desired DNA, desired genes which are responsible for expression of desirable characters. Now this recognition site or palindromic site, it contains minimum 6 to 8 base pairs. It contains minimum of 6 to 8 base pairs. For example, here if you take ECO R1 cuts, its restriction endonuclease, it cuts at recognition site of GATC. This is 3' to 5', let us take. So the cutted recognition site, we are taking it out. Let us imagine that is 3' to 5'. Imagine it contains minimum 6 base pairs. So if you look at opposite strand, this is 5' to 3'. Let us think this is even cut or blend cut. Both terminal ends are same here. Now, once if you know the sequence on the one strand, we can automatically find the sequence on the opposite strand. What do you find here? Here you find A, this is G, always pairs with C. A always pairs with T, A pairs with T, T pairs with A, T pairs with A. And G. Okay, that means if you know the sequence of one strand, if you read from 3' to 5', the same thing will be there from the 5' to 3'. If you come this opposite side, so if you got will be 5' to 3', if you come, is the same sequence. C, T, T, A, A, G is the same thing what you find on the opposite strand. C, T, T, A, A, G. Okay, it's like if it starts from G, it ends with C, same sequence will be there. And if you start from the C, it ends with G, is the same sequence. Now if you look at opposite strand, 5' to 3', if you start from 3', G, A, A, T, T, C, that means GATC. Okay, so if you read on one strand, if you read on the opposite strand, it will be of same if you take opposite complementary strands. It is like Malayalam. It is, for example, you can compare, this is like a Malayalam. Look at here. Now let us take that this is nothing but 3 dash to 5 dash, or let us take this is from 5 dash to 3 dash. M-A-L-A. Opposite strand. This is 5 dash to 3 dash. Let us think this is even cut or blend cut. Both terminal ends are same here. Now, once if you know the sequence on the one strand, we can automatically find the sequence on the opposite strand. What do you find here? Here you find A, this is G, always pairs with C. A always pairs with T, A pairs with T, T pairs with A, T pairs with A, and G. Okay, that means if you know the sequence of one strand, if you read from 3 dash to 5 dash, the same thing will be there from the 5 dash to 3 dash. If you come this opposite side, so if you got will be 5 dash to 3 dash, if you come, is the same sequence. C, T, T, A, A, G is the same thing what you find on the opposite strand. C, T, T, A, A, G. Okay, it's like if it starts from G, it ends with C, same sequence will be there. And if you start from the C, it ends with G, it is the same sequence. Now if you look at opposite strand, 5 dash to 3 dash, if you start from the 3 dash, G, A, A, T, T, C, that means GAT-C. Okay, so if you read on one strand, if you read on the opposite strand, it will be of same if you take opposite complementary strands. It is like Malayalam. It is, for example, you can compare, this is like a Malayalam. Look at here. Now let us take that this is nothing but 3 dash to 5 dash, or let us take this is from 5 dash to 3 dash. M-A-L-A-Y-A-L-A-M. Now what will be there on the opposite strand? If you take 3 dash, same thing will come. M-A-L-A. Okay. L-A-Y-A-L-A-M, Malayalam. Okay, so if you come from opposite strand, M-A-L-A-Y-A-L-A-M, Malayalam. If you go there like this, M-A-L-A-Y-A-L-A-M, Malayalam. Either go this side or come from this side, the both strands will have the same sequence of nucleotide. So if you read, it will be having a same nucleotide sequence. Same nucleotide sequence will be there. Sequence, this is sequence. In opposite strands, when you read in opposite direction, opposite strands, when we read in opposite direction, then it is called as palindromic nucleotide sequence. So same nucleotide sequence in opposite strands when we read in opposite direction. If you go like this, GAATTC, GAT-C, on the opposite strand, opposite direction if you read, same thing will be there, GAATTC, GAT-C. So when we read nucleotides, the same nucleotide sequence in opposite strands in opposite direction, then it is called as palindromic nucleotide sequence. This is what the restriction endonuclease will cut and make the number of fragments. So if you look at the probability, what is the probability? Suppose if you take the probability of nucleotide sequence, probability of palindromic nucleotide sequence. Altogether we have 4 nitrogen bases. The probability will be 1/4 whole to the power of 6, which is approximately equivalent to 4096 nucleotides. Approximately 4096 nucleotides. Okay, that what is the meaning of this? What is the probability of palindromic nucleotide sequence? Means what is the probability for cutting the DNA with a specific site if you look at. So for one fragment of DNA, if we speak about, one means one fragment of DNA means the cutted fragment. The DNA can be made into number of fragments. In that, if you talk about any one fragment, for one fragment, one means one fragment by 4. 4 means the possibility of nitrogen bases are of 4 types. What are they? Adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine. There are 4 types of nitrogen bases. For one fragment, there are possibility of occurrence of 4 types of nitrogen base pairs. And each fragment, restriction endonuclease cuts minimum of 6 to 8 base pairs. So minimum 6 base pairs if you take for each fragment, minimum 6 if you find, then 1 by 4 whole to the power of 6 if you take, then the probability of number of nucleotides which can be obtained in the form of DNA fragments approximately maybe 4096 nucleotides. This is just for our understanding. When DNA is made into number of fragments, what is the probability of nucleotides can be obtained in the form of fragments? The probability of obtaining nucleotides or palindromic nucleotide sequence. For example, if you take restriction endonuclease, it cuts the DNA at different locations. If you take long length of DNA, it cuts at different locations. So here, there are so many fragments you'll get it. If you take one fragment, what is the probability of palindromic nucleotide sequence or probability of nucleotides on the DNA fragments if you take? For one fragment, the possible types of nitrogen bases are 4, adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine, and each fragment minimum of 6 you find, then 1 by 4 whole to the power of 6 approximately it contains 4096 nucleotides. Okay, and what is the frequency? How frequently it will cut the DNA into number of fragments? If you look at the frequency, we say the frequency and location means how many times it will make the cut, how many number of fragments it will form, how frequently it cut the DNA, and where it cuts the DNA. The frequency and location is not random. But species specific. Is not random, but it is species specific. Okay, so if you look at the frequency means how frequently it cut the DNA number of fragment, location where it cut exactly is location, both are not random. Not random meaning what here? The statement is very important. Very important statement here. Means restriction endonuclease exactly which site or which location it should cut. Simply whatever it feel like cutting the randomly. It will not cut randomly here and there, here and there, here and there. No, it will not cut randomly. And the frequency means number of fragments, where to cut also. It will not simply decide, okay, here I'll make cut, here I'll make cut, here I'll make cut. It will not do randomly. It is not random. But then how it will choose the location site, where to cut? It is always species specific. In every species, there is specific site for cutting out restriction endonuclease into number of fragments to undergo the process called replication. The statement is very important. Simply restriction endonuclease, it will not cut the DNA randomly. It is not random. It always depends upon, specifically occurs the cutting at some locations in some species, in different species. So the statement is very important. Frequency and location is not random, but always it is species specific. Okay, so when you take in different species, there is a different places for restriction endonuclease to cut the DNA. So here in one organism, suppose if you take, this is one type of restriction endonuclease. Let us take type 2 restriction endonuclease. Maybe imagine type 2 restriction endonuclease, it is cutting between what you call G and A. So same thing here, it's cutting between G and A. In this particular organism, let us take this is organism number 1. Okay, in the first organism, a type of restriction endonuclease is type 2. Here it is cutting between G and A and G and A in the opposite, same thing if you take. It does not mean that the same type 2 restriction endonuclease, it does not mean that it cut in the same position even if you take organism number 2. If you take other organism, in other species, there is no guarantee that it will cut between G and A. It will cut somewhere between A and T. Or here it will cut between A and T. Okay, so it is always species specific. If I isolate restriction endonuclease type 2 from organism number 1, in this organism, it's cutting between G and A. Here G and A it's cutting. So in this organism number 1, type 2 it is cutting G and A means, it does not mean that if you keep the same type of restriction endonuclease enzyme in other organism number 2, now no, there is no guarantee that it will cut between G and A. It cuts between some other place like A and T and A and T. That means the frequency and location is not random, but it is always a species specific. So here very important to understand palindromic nucleotide sequence here, which you have to understand here. What is a palindromic nucleotide sequence here? A nucleotide sequence which contain minimum 6 to 8 base pairs. A specific site or specific recognition site we find. Minimum 6 base pairs. For example, EcoR1 cuts at GNA. Let us take GATC, GAATTC. Opposite strand, if you read in the same direction, GAATTC will be there. It cuts when the two strands on opposite to each other. Opposite strands will have look similar when they read from opposite directions. Then it is called palindromic nucleotide sequence. Now, if you have Malayalam, it starts from M. On the other direction also starts the same Malayalam. Right. So, if you take the probability for one fragment, there are 4 types of nitrogen bases and each fragment minimum of 6. So, 1 by 4 whole to the power of 6 is equivalent to approximately 4096 nucleotides. Now, the frequency and location, it's not random. It cannot cut wherever it feels like cutting. No, it's not random. It always species specific. So, in one organism, it's cutting between A and G, restriction endonuclease type 2. If you isolate and keep it in organism number 2, there is no guarantee that it cuts at G and A because it cuts in A and T because this species is different from this particular species. So, this is how we have to understand what is called as palindromic nucleotide sequence. Right. So, let's continue further. So here in palindromic nucleotide sequence, let us take action of restriction enzyme. Let us take the action of restriction enzyme. Now when we take the action of restriction enzyme here, now what exactly happens here is nothing but, let us take, this is nothing but a vector DNA. Now this vector DNA starts with GATC. Opposite strand will be having CTT AAG. So this is how it looks like. These nitrogen bases are present. Okay, imagine this is nothing but a vector DNA. This is nothing but a vector DNA. Let us take foreign DNA. Foreign DNA also has GATC. So here opposite strand will have C, T, T, A, G. So here it is how it nitrogen bases will be. like this. The DNA is like this. Okay, let us take this is as what? A foreign DNA. Foreign DNA. Now which are two ready here? The vector DNA is ready. Foreign DNA is also ready. Now let us see the action of restriction enzyme. Now where exact cuts exactly? Let us take action of EcoR1. When EcoR1 enzyme is applied, even here also we are applying EcoR1. That means the same enzyme is applied for both vector DNA as well as for foreign DNA. The type of EcoR1 which we are using here to cut the DNA is the same type of EcoR1 we are here cutting the DNA on foreign DNA. Now as a result what happens? Let us see where the cut is made here. When EcoR1 is added here, let us imagine it cuts between G and A, and here also it cuts between G and A. Imagine it's making the cut between G and A. Okay, now here also what happens? It's making the cut between G. It's making the cut between G and A. Imagine. As a result, what happens here? After cutting, this fragment will go, and this fragment will go. As a result, vector DNA part, if you look at, so here is G like this. Then you find what are called C. C is there here. T is there. T is there. A is there. A is there. This part is called overhanging stretching. This is called staggered cut. Unpaired bases are there, overhanging stretches are there, they are called sticky ends or called cohesive end. So this is nothing but what we have, sticky end, overhanging stretches are present as a result of staggered cut. Between G and A, this is gone, and this fragment is removed. This is left as a unpaired bases, and they are called sticky ends or we call cohesive ends. Right? Now coming to foreign DNA, here you find between G and A is cutted, G will go, find A, T, and here this is what is C, like this, and here you find only G, because this fragment is gone. Okay. So here even this is called sticky ends and these are called cohesive ends. The unpaired bases are left here. This is nothing but what do you call such type of cut? Such type of cut is called as staggered cut. Such type of cut what we find here itself is called as what? A staggered cut. Now when staggered cut is made here, then automatically what is there here? T is there. Here A is there. A will come and binds with T. Second A will come and binds with T. T will come binds with A, like that. So now this foreign DNA will come and bind with vector DNA. Okay, this foreign DNA having overhanging stretches. These are called sticky ends or cohesive ends. This come and bonds with sticky ends, cohesive ends here of the vector DNA. Why? Because in both cases, EcoR1 cuts exactly between G and A. As a result of staggered cut, overhanging stretches, unpaired bases are present. Here also overhanging and unpaired bases are present. So here this foreign DNA will come and join like this with the sticky ends or cohesive ends. As a result, what happens? Now you see down we can write this is vector. Let us write. I am writing together joining here. Now this vector is having the G here. I am drawing this part here, and down it has C is there, then T is there, T is there, A is there, and A is there. Now who is coming? This part is coming and joining here. So this part I am writing like this. This is coming and bonding. What is there here? AA, TT, and C is there here. and that here it's nothing but again foreign DNA. So here this is foreign DNA, this is vector DNA, this is vector DNA, and this is nothing but what? A foreign DNA. Both of them join together, and from here to here, this is what it forms, recombinant DNA. From here to here, this is how the what you call foreign DNA combines with vector DNA, because a specific cutting between G and A, same EcoR1 cuts vector DNA and foreign DNA. Now this part will come and join here. Vector DNA continuously joins with foreign DNA, and this part what is joined here itself is called as what? Recombinant DNA. This is how a palindromic nucleotide chain is broken and fragments are removed, and desired DNA, foreign DNA, desired DNA will come and join with the vector DNA. Now let's continue further. Now let us talk about cloning vectors. Let us talk about cloning vectors. Now, let us continue our discussion with cloning vectors. So, we can have a clear difference between a vector and a cloning vector. We can have a clear difference between vector and a cloning vector. What is a vector? Now vector is used to transfer the foreign DNA or alien DNA into host organism. Then it is called as vector. What is a vector? Vector is used to transfer foreign or alien DNA into host organism. What's the meaning of this? For example, we are taking this is a source organism. Okay, it has its own genetic material. Now we are adding restriction endonuclease enzyme. So it's cutting a fragment of DNA. Now fragment of DNA came. Now this is what is called as foreign DNA. Okay, this is called a foreign DNA. Now this foreign DNA, now it will be joined with plasmid. The foreign DNA will be joined with the plasmid. Plasmid is like this. Let us imagine. This is plasmid. Now this particular plasmid, now the foreign DNA will be added into the plasmid. As a result, now it will become like this. Plasmid will be cutted with EcoR1 or specific restriction enzyme, which used for cutting foreign DNA is the same restriction endonuclease enzyme which cut the plasmid in the same site. As a result, the foreign DNA will come and join here. Now this is called foreign DNA, or itself is called as a chimeric DNA. You can also write this as a foreign DNA, alien DNA, or itself is also called as a chimeric DNA, or we call this is also called as linked DNA. This is also called as linked DNA. Now this plasmid is carrying this. Now it's used as a vector. As it carries, it's also called as a carrier. Now what it will do here? Now this plasmid now it acts as a vector or carrier. Now what it will do? It transfers its alien DNA. It enters into the host organism. Now this is the host organism. Now this is the nucleoid genetic material. Now plasmid will come and drops the alien DNA here. After dropping the alien DNA here, the plasmid goes out. meaning the vector will go out. This is the plasmid. So it's used for transfer of genetic material. After coming here, what it will do? It enter inside and drops the alien DNA here. After dropping the alien DNA, the vector DNA of the plasmid will go out of the host organism. Then that is called as a vector or a carrier. Simply, in this case, it is called, the plasmid is called vector. So here what's happening, what is meant by vector? Vector is used to transfer the foreign or alien DNA into host organism. That's all. It's just simply taking the alien DNA, dropping it and going out. Then it's called vector. So what it will do, from the source organism, with the help of restriction endonuclease, it cuts the fragment of DNA, it comes out. So the same restriction endonuclease, in fact plasmid, also cuts the DNA and the DNA will come out. Okay, so now foreign DNA comes out, foreign DNA combines with the plasmid with the help of DNA ligase. Now foreign DNA, now it became the part of the plasmid. Now here plasmid act as a vector or carrier. Now what it will do, the vector enters inside the host organism, it drops the alien DNA or foreign DNA and goes out. As it takes, carries, act as a vector, drops it and goes. That's why it's called as vector. Okay, and earlier we studied what the alien DNA which is produced here, it is unable to replicate alone by itself. Then later it will become integrated into the nucleoid, then it becomes a part of the nucleoid, then only it will undergo multiplication along with the host organism. This is what we studied. So in this case, the plasmid is taking DNA, dropping it and going. That's why it's called as vector. Then what is the meaning of cloning vector? What is the meaning of a cloning vector? So in this case, so I'm talking about cloning vector. Plasmid or vector is used for multiplication of foreign DNA in host to produce daughter cells, to produce progeny cells. What is the meaning of this? It's here in this case. Now you got the clarity. It's called vector. Then when we have to make use of the term called cloning vector in genetic engineering. So here cloning vector means your plasmid or vector which is used for multiplication of foreign DNA in the host to produce progeny cells. Now I think you got a meaning of vector, right? Now let us see cloning vector. In cloning vector is also same process. By the help of restriction endonuclease, it makes a cut. Foreign DNA or alien DNA comes out. It joins with the plasmid with the help of DNA ligase. With the help of DNA ligase. Now this plasmid, it enters inside. As soon as it enters, now here the plasmid is carrying the DNA here. Now inside the host, now it is called as recombinant DNA. Now this plasmid, after entering along with the recombinant DNA, it will not drop, it will not go out. what it will do, this vector, this plasmid stays within the host organism and undergoes multiplication. So this vector DNA undergoes replication along with the host DNA. Undergoes replication along with host DNA. Along with host DNA. Okay, so this undergoes replication along with host DNA. Host DNA is undergoing replication, and the vector plasmid which carries recombinant DNA also undergoes replication along with the host DNA. It will not drop and it will not go out as like vector. It stays inside the host. So this is used for multiplication of foreign DNA in the host to produce progeny cells. Now as a result of this replication, what happens here? Progeny cells means daughter cells are produced, and each daughter cell also has the replicated copy of plasmid. This is original genome, but here the replicated copy of the plasmid will be like this. This is plasmid with the recombinant DNA. That means here vector is used for forming the clones. Clones means what? Similar bacteria. These daughter cells, progeny cells, are exactly similar to the parental cell. Then known as they are called clones. So vector is used for the formation of clones in the progeny cells. Progeny cells means daughter cells. That's why it's called cloning vector. I hope you got it. I'll just repeat again very clearly. Now just concentrate and make out clear difference between vector and cloning vector. So here if you look at vector is used to transfer foreign or alien DNA into host organism. It simply collects, acts as a vector, drops it and goes out. And that is called vector. Now you try to clearly understand what is meant by cloning vector. So here plasmid or vector is used for multiplication of foreign DNA in the host to produce progeny cells. That means after when vector is carrying this alien DNA, chimeric DNA or linked DNA, no doubt it enters into the host organism. No doubt. Now after entering into the host organism, the plasmid DNA, it stays here. It will not go out. The vector along with recombinant DNA, it stays inside the host. It will not drop, it will not go as like vector. As it stays inside the host, recombinant DNA, when enters inside the host, now it is called recombination of DNA. That's why it's called recombinant DNA. Along with recombinant DNA, vector stays within the cytoplasm of the bacterial cell or in the host organism and undergoes replication along with the host DNA. This is host DNA is undergoing replication. Along with that, even this is also undergoing replication. When both undergoes replication here, now they multiply in number, they undergo binary fission, produces daughter cells, and these daughter cells are called as what? Progeny cells. Now these progeny cells which are produced here are exactly similar to that of their parental cell, including recombinant DNA with the vector. It gets transferred as it is, vector with recombinant DNA. Vector with recombinant DNA got transferred into clones. So here vector is used to form recombinant DNA into clones. That's why this is called cloning vector. Here it acts as a carrier vector, simply takes, drops it and goes, called vector. In some cases, in some bacteria, the vector itself is involved in formation of the clones. Along with foreign DNA itself is called now recombinant DNA. Now it is said to be as what? A cloning vector. Now it is very much essential for you all to remember the difference between vectors and cloning vectors. Right. let us take most commonly used vectors. The most commonly used vectors. Which are most commonly used vectors? So just now we studied plasmids, or most of the times plasmids can be used as vector, and bacteriophages, then apart from this cosmids, and including artificial chromosomes, Okay, now let us see the most commonly used vectors. If you take, always it is plasmids. We will discuss why it is plasmids. Apart from plasmids, we make use of bacteriophages. We will study what are this, and also we make use of cosmids, and including artificial chromosomes in the process of genetic engineering.